Hi, everybody. No, I really don't have that much to say, okay? And no, I'm not watching the Indians game because I just got off the golf course. It's pouring rain outside and had to beat the rain. Got to get 9 holes in today. Uh, all the discussion about the Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, I just wanted to add my 2 cents worth. Now, everybody knows that I was not happy with the performance of the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 3 and during the course of the regular season, losing focus in the middle of basketball games. But let me say that where we're at right now, this part of the season, is where you hope to be. All expectations have been met, okay? As a fan, you cannot ask for more than the finals. That is as far as the road goes. There are lots of teams that don't even make it into the playoffs. Then there are the few teams that make it to the playoffs but get eliminated quickly. There are the sorrowful ones who get to the conference finals and lose. And there are the 2 lottery winners that get to the finals in the end. And it's very similar to the Indians making the World Series last year. That's kind of the way it works. That's the highest expectation that any fan can have. For that reason, I don't consider any ending or conclusion of this season to be disappointing in any way, shape, or form. The disappointment for me would have been if the Cavaliers frittered away an opportunity to get to these finals. And that, I believe that there was a way that this team could manage to do that against Boston because they sometimes don't focus in. But for the most part in the playoffs, with the exception of one game, they've been very focused and done their job. And here we sit at the precipice of a possible championship back-to-back. But we know one thing, and that's that the Golden State Warriors for the last 3 years have been the hyped team in the NBA. They limped in a couple of years ago and beat us in the finals when we didn't have our players healthy. They managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory up 3-1 last year and lost the championship to the Cavaliers. So they added Kevin Durant, and they are the odds-on favorite by every gambling source in the world to win the championship, which I think puts more pressure on the Golden State Warriors. The pressure was on Cleveland last year because they hadn't won a championship in the city for 52 years. But the pressure now falls directly on the shoulders of the Golden State Warriors, who are expected to win. Also falls directly on the shoulders of Kevin Durant, because that's why he went to Golden State in the first place, because he didn't have enough horses to get it done in Oklahoma City. So all of the pressure falls on their side of the fence. That doesn't mean they're going to fold or collapse under the pressure. In fact, if they're champions, then they will they'll excel in the midst of that pressure. Cavaliers, on the other hand, are a team that fans kind of look at and the media looks at it saying, wow, they came back from 3-1 last year, and that was kind of like a storybook ending to that Believe Land piece of shit that they came out with, the documentary. And boy, what a spirited, happy ending for the people in Cleveland. It only happens once in a lifetime. And the people in Cleveland should be happy with one championship, and what the hell, they're not going to beat Golden State. But I don't believe that. I believe that this is an interesting series, and I've said before that I think that Golden State is the most explosive offensive team in the league, but I think that Cleveland is in patches the best defensive team when they really focus in on the defensive end, and that really helps their offense out tremendously. And the rhythm of the game is predicated on the activity on the defensive end of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I always say that it's very simple to analyze series before they happen, because everything is theoretical and you have statistics that you can go by. And then when the series begins, Andre Iguodala has a huge playoff, or somebody that you expect to do great just falls apart, or the Warriors don't score in the last 4.5 minutes of Game 7, or, whatever. It's very hard to project what's going to happen in advance. You can only look at the statistical possibilities. For me personally, it's their offense, which is the high-powered three-point up and down offense against the Cavaliers' ability to wreak havoc on the defensive end and get into the open floor and get conversions at the rim. And, watching Kyrie Irving get into a spread floor and go to the basket and finish, or LeBron with thundering dunks finish, or LeBron charging up the floor after a deflected pass, a steal, and then looking off into the wings and hitting J.R. Smith or Kevin Love for the three. That is Cavalier basketball. And I honestly believe that when they play the way they're capable of, there's nobody who can beat them, and that includes Golden State. And the reason I say that is I don't see signs that Golden State has the same defensive capabilities as the Cleveland Cavaliers. I also believe they have a real hothead in Draymond Green. And if things start going bad for a second year in a row, Draymond Green, who knows? He cost them a likely championship last year by hitting LeBron low. Who knows what he might do this year? And he's not a cool head. And I would also say that Steph Curry is not a cool head. I watched Steph Curry and Klay Thompson disappear in the last 4.5 minutes of Game 7, a game that they had every reason to win and did not win. If you're going to look at tendencies, look beyond the statistical analysis and look at how players have performed in the past. Now, 2 years ago, I don't think Steph Curry was particularly good either, and it was Iguodala who was given the most valuable player award in the finals because Steph was not shooting that well. And at the time, they said, well, it was Matthew Dellavedova, and I shrugged my shoulders and go, Delly? It may have been more about Steph Curry than about Delly because it happened again last year in the critical moments of the game. Where he just failed, and a lot of the shots just didn't even look good. They just didn't look good coming out of his hand. They looked rushed. It didn't look like there was any magic as part of his performance. Now, again, it's a whole new year, and they may be more confident because they have Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant doesn't have a championship, and again, they're going to be looking at him as the thing that gets them over the edge. If the Cleveland Cavaliers manage to win one game in Golden State out of the first two, it could become a real problem for Golden State because then you're looking at LeBron James, a Cleveland home court advantage, and the intimidation factor of playing against LeBron James is palpable. Ask Kevin Durant about that. And the way Cleveland has played this year is different than last year, all right. But on the road in the playoffs, they've been really good and they've been really focused. They had the one lousy game at home. But honestly, they look better and more focused on the road than they have at home. And so not having the home court advantage doesn't really scare me that much if the Cavaliers come out focused like they have been. I see Kevin Love having a more confident postseason. Now, all of this can end. It could be a fairy tale illusion, but it could all end. But Kevin Love is playing inside and outside, and he looks confident, and he is not hesitating to shoot the basketball, and he looks very fluid in what he's doing. He's making his free throws. Tristan Thompson is making his free throws and rebounding and getting the job done down low. And we know that Golden State has two guys, Zaza Pachulia, who is kind of more of a roughhouse guy, and JaVale McGee, who is a very tall potential shot swatter who has never quite lived up to his draft status and has been mystifyingly absent in large stretches of his career. If you put a gun to my head right now and said, who do you think is going to win? I'm going to tell you it's 50-50. I don't believe that it's stacked in the favor of Golden State. And in fact, what I'm going to say next is probably going to even disappoint people more because they just want me to be negative because they have pictured me as being unduly negative. But at this point, you throw aside all of the fan stuff and the negativity and the what ifs, and you get behind your team and you just cheer. Just like last year. You're in the finals, man. This is the time to cheer. This is the time to be positive. And I don't care if the Cavaliers get swept in 4 games. They got to the pinnacle for the 3rd straight year, and that is a remarkable accomplishment in and of itself. I would love to see the Cleveland Cavaliers win again. I'm going to be cheering them. You're not going to hear negativity from me during the course of the finals. You're going to hear game analysis from me and maybe strategy questioning or, questioning a given player's effort on the floor. But you're not going to hear the overall kind of whining that I was doing against playing a team like Boston, who I knew damn well we were superior to, but that we were allowing to do more than what we should have let them do. That's it. That's what I have to say about that series. Now, the fact that I'm missing the Indians is in and of itself kind of a, I'm looking at the fact that they were up 5-0, and it looks like Encarnacion's hit a couple of home runs and Austin Jackson hit one. I'm showing the bottom of the 6th inning, and let's see if we update this information for Mr. Moohead so I can at least follow what in the hell's going on. It looks to me as if 5-2 as Oakland has scored 2 runs in the top of the 7th. So I'm going to go over to ESPN and take a look at what's going on here. And not a good thing when the Indians, we got to have to bring the bullpen in, it looks like. We'll go over to Major League Baseball. We'll look at scores, and we'll look to see if they're going to give up the entire 5-run lead. Pardon me while I do this. There's 1 out, nobody on base. Let's take a look at the play-by-play here, because obviously something has happened this inning. Carrasco has been pitching well up to this point. 2 home runs. Alonso and Healy, 2 solo shots. How about that? That's been kind of a bugaboo now, hasn't it, for Carlos Carrasco? The other thing that I read that really kind of threw me off, Tiger Woods arrested for DUI, and just an unraveling. It's an unfortunate thing, but the inability of Tiger Woods to play golf, like I said, when we talk about spinal fusions in the end, the first 3 microdiscectomies, I think, were totally unnecessary, and they led to where he's at now. And I think getting his mugshot looks just horrible. And honestly, obviously, substance abuse creeps into his life once again. It's an unfortunate conclusion to a person's career. And I see that Frank DeFord passed away. DeFord, the guy who was big on real sports, had been in the hospital, had just gotten out of the hospital. He passed away at age 78. That's too bad. Now, Steve Kerr not ready to return to the Warrior sideline. That means we get Mr. Potato Head and his bizarre bottle of water routine. So I feel comfortable with him being on the bench and not Steve Kerr. So that's it. That's what I have to say right now. The headline, the latest Tiger Woods news is just plain sad. After this arrest, there is no silver lining for Tiger Woods. Jason Sobel for ESPN writing about the mugshot, the photo. It was just a sad thing. He looks drunk. He looks disheveled. It was just a horrible photograph. And that's going to be the image that people remember about this sad demise for Tiger Woods. That's it, everybody. That's what I have to say today. And I may have something else to say on Wednesday. Thanks a lot for tuning in to this edition of Moohead Radio. I'm going to catch the end of the Cleveland Indians game while I have the opportunity. Take care now. Have a good day. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.